Hi everyone, welcome back to another scrapbook process video. I hope you guys are all having a good day. I believe that I am playing along with another sketch from the Scrapbook Generation Scrap Squad little event that they had over National Scrapbook Day. I believe this is another one of the sketches that they had. I'm going to tell you right away that I'm going to cut the paper wrong. I was a little frustrated because I you can see I'm going to have to like line these two papers up that I'm cutting, right, the one with all the circles. I thought that I had it all planned out great, and I stared at the sketch and I couldn't figure out how my measurements could be so off. And I, I am not good with math. If you know me, numbers in my brain just go like bye bye. I will stare at something for so long and it'll take me, or me and numbers, no, we're not friends at all. So I did totally finally realize it was my mistake. I realized that I had calculated wrong. I think I was trying to make a smaller border, or I don't even remember. It's been about a month or so since I've made this layout. But I can just say that, yeah, I counted wrong. And so I did cut that bubble paper smaller than it should be. And to make up for it, because it was the only sheet, of course, that I had, I went ahead and cut another piece of it. And I'm going to butt them up together to make it look like it's one solid piece. Now, on the layout, you can tell if you are looking for it, but most of it gets covered up by photos and the journaling block. So in all reality, you really can't tell. So I'm not worried about it. Doing something like this really doesn't worry me. If it was like the shapes were totally off and totally obvious, I would probably be a little bit more leery of doing it. But for the most part, I really don't mind butting things up together. I know that when somebody else looks at my layout, they're not going to look at it and see, oh my gosh, this paper is totally wrong. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I try not to let it bother me either then. Now, the other thing I'm going to do, I cut the paper, and that top one can go in different directions. I feel like it's got so many bikes and helmets and different items on there. But the way that that piece was cut, it looked better having it on the top and like it's faced upside down right now, as to especially to the way that I wanted it to look. And so here I'm just going to go along for, I believe I just did this on another layout and totally started to glue everything down upside down. And I'm going to do it here too. I'm going to get all my pictures and everything glued down, and then I'm going to realize, oh my gosh, I have it upside down. I could have left it like that. It, I mean, it really works. And like, like I was just saying, nobody else but me is even going to notice it, but it bothered me. And so then it's a problem, right? So if it bothers you, then you can change it. You don't have to do it that way. But if it doesn't bother you and you know it's not going to bother anybody else, then by all means, just let it be. Um, so I wanted to say that, all of that just to say it's currently upside down right now. And one of these scenes, it's going to go off, and I'm going to realize that it's all wrong and switch it around. So this layout, what do we have? 2, 4, 6, 7 photos. So the layouts I've been doing lately have been a higher number of photos, and I love that. I really like to be able to go back and forth with doing higher numbered layouts, double pages to, maybe one photo, and single pages. So I think one of the things that helps me, that I like about that, is because it kind of changes up the norm. And I'm going to apologize if you can hear my cat meowing in the background. It's because well, I'm home, but nobody else is home, and I'm in my scrap room, so he gets a little lonely at this time. For some reason, he doesn't realize that he can come in here and visit me if he wants. But anyways, so I here I am gluing down my pictures. I will say, I think it's because I used that adhesive, the Kikuyo, or however you say that. that made this possible for me to pull the pictures back up and glue them back down. I really don't enjoy using my ATG gun anymore. My friend and I did the math together. Well, she did the math because, like I said, numbers and me don't get along. So I just listened to what she had to say. But so after she did the math, it really it really evens out. Yeah, the ATG, yes, you get more, but you have to use more. It's kind of what we came down to. And I like to use a lot of adhesive because in my area, for some reason, my layouts will fall apart. I don't know if it's the moisture in my house, what it is, but it's just been that way. Um, so that is the reason I think that I was able to easily pull these up. If I had used ATG under each one of these photos, they would not have came up very well at all. So the next thing I I'm still haven't realized at this point that the pictures are upside down. Um, I'm going to try to give a little white border. This is something we've probably all tried in the very beginning of our scrapbooking, getting out a black pen and outlining. I wanted to try it with a white pen. These photos just were not standing out very enough for me. I just needed them to stand out just a little bit. And at first, I really liked the white pen. I thought it worked out really well. So I did it with what is it, 3 photos? Yeah, it's 3 photos that has the white border or, yeah, drawn around them. And I'm going to realize, I want to say it's after I realize that my layout's upside down. I'm going to play with the title for a while first. But I do change the way that I do reprint the photos and give them a white border, and it looks a lot better to me. And I'm glad that I did that. So for the title, I'm just pulling out my alphabet dies, and I'm going to I'm going to try a few different things, even this kind of unique pattern paper. I'm going to try die cutting a letter out of that to see if I liked it. And I was very on the edge of whether or not I liked it. I did, but at the same time I didn't. And so I do put the layout aside and take a little while to think about it. And in the meantime, I build, because I know that I'm going to stack up the letters like I always do with a couple layers of um, white card stuck underneath them. So like I said, I'm just going to try a few letters. I do believe that I also die cut them in a few different colors, which ends up to the way my title ends up. Um, that's kind of a weird way to say that helps get to the last. There it is there. And you can see my layout is the right side up now. I'm liking it much better. I've got the white border around my photos. And when I was die cutting the different colors of my title, a couple of them were lined up, so I could see which one I liked best. And I decided that I wanted to do the title in all different colors. I have at least, I think, 2 of each letter, and I think or 2 of each color. And then there was one color that has 3, which I believe is the red. But I just played around and tried to not have a pattern with them. And when I glued them down, on the word one, the N is popped up with foam tape, even with the cardstock layers. In the word last, the L and the T is popped up with foam tape. And in the word ride, the R and the D is popped up with foam tape. I wanted to do that to also help them stand out a little bit more. They were getting a little lost with that orange banner piece. And so I wanted to help them stand out a little more. And it just kind of gives a little more interest to the title as well. So I have this sorry to fling that at the screen to you. I don't like when people do that, but I wanted to show I had pulled out a collection for the original layout, thinking that it had the sticker book. There would be a lot of things I could add, but there was really nothing that went well with this layout. I mean, there was dinosaurs, there was all kinds of different things. It's an eco park. You're going to get multiple different things, right? But nothing just really went well. From the sticker sheet, which is why I pulled this collection. I'm sorry I don't remember the name of the collection. If I can find it, I will link it below. It's an Echo Park one, an older boy one, but it had that really bright green bike, and the bike that my son is riding is a bright green bike. So I thought that that collection would be perfect for it. And that was the only thing that was really going, like I said, other than the helmet on the right hand side, in the top cluster here that I'm messing around with. And then I do think that Super Kid was part of that same collection. So now I'm going to look in my sticker binder. I did pull out the second sticker book, or I think I might have had two other ones that were boys from Echo Park. And I pulled those out, found maybe one or two stickers, but really nothing that was, again, really went for the theme of this layout. And I'm not afraid to add like a dinosaur on a bike layout, but none of the dinosaurs just really went in the clusters very well. And just nothing looked really good. There's the original sticker sheet. I know the video is going pretty quick, but you can see there's not a lot on there that would really go easily. Like a superhero flying through the sky wouldn't go very well on this layout. So I was also struggling with this bottom cluster because I didn't want to cover up too much. I didn't have an image that fit very well. I did find, I looked over and saw this punch on my side where I keep my punches, and I thought I would pull this one out. I love this little arrow punch. It's by Creative Memories, I believe. And I love the way that it looked. So I am going to add a couple arrows. I think that I add a green one, and I do layer them up with the 3 cardstock white layers that you probably saw. And I'm going to add a blue one on the left-hand side. Now, you guys, I got to tell you about these inks. These are Lisa Horton inks. Look at that shine. Oh, I am so in love with these inks. I went ahead and went to my dies since I couldn't find any ephemera pieces that were working for me that I really liked. And so I wanted to make them kind of shiny, but not super shiny. I didn't have any specialty paper that really looked the way that I wanted it to look. So I pulled out these inks and I love these. These look so amazing. Now, I did not let my paper dry long enough. I needed like another 3 minutes, I think, to dry. So a little tiny bit rubbed off on my finger, but that's my fault. I just was impatient and I was excited to get these cut out to see how they looked. But look at those. Oh, they look so cool. I am going to link these inks below and I hope you will check them out. They are really cool and they are just going to totally fill in my cluster areas exactly the way that I wanted to. The other thing that really helped, excuse me. The other thing that I really liked about using this ink was because on a couple of the elements, like on the bike and the oh boy, that's up there in the cluster that I'm working in, and a couple other of the ephemera pieces on the Echo Park collection had like a silvery finish, but it was a very subtle silvery finish. So die cutting these shapes using that ink really helped. It just pulled everything together. Now, I did originally have this Imagine That sticker here, and I didn't know that I glued it down. So you know how things are when they stick to pictures. I pulled it up, and I'm still going to use the Imagine That, but I'm going to use it on a, future layout. I'm not getting rid of it is what I'm trying to say. But I just didn't like it down there. I don't know. I'm going to go ahead and switch it up with something else. I'm even going to try putting it back on with foam tape. Um, I just didn't like it. And what I do add down there is a circle. It's the Super Kid that you saw there earlier. And I think what helps with adding that back there is that it is a circle shape. And up there in the top right, I have the oh boy. And on the left, I have the circles from the tires on the bike. And so adding another circle dip back down here just kind of creates that trio of circles. So I'm just going to go ahead and continue and glue down these little cog pieces. I will link them below. I'm sorry, I can't tell you what they are. I have no idea where they are. I'm kind of like disappointed. I went to find in my boy section, is where I kept that envelope. I'm hoping that maybe it's with the Echo Park collection that I used because yeah, I have no idea where those dies are now. So I don't know. I want to say maybe they were a paper rose or something similar. Or I don't know the company. I believe that I bought them up at my local scrapbook store that's near me, and they had like stencils or something that you could buy to match them. I don't remember if this is the same one, but I will continue to look for them after I am done with this video, and I will link them below if I can find them. If I can't find these exact ones, I'm sure there's others out there that will work just as well. Just cross your fingers for me that I can find the dies because I love these dies. I'm just going to keep playing like I do. Sometimes I just keep playing and adding things till I like it, and I love how it turns out. On the left-hand side, I do add another circle. I went ahead and went with the little spinner that it's probably for like board games or something that I just pulled out here. But I really like the way that it kind of looked over here. And again, it was just another circle. And it also brought over that element of the multiple colors from like the title. I was just trying to figure out which way to turn it. I didn't want the green to be touching the tires of the bike, but I didn't want the arrow pointing totally the wrong way either. And then there was also the orange on the title, or yeah, on that circle piece. That's also the orange on the banner below it. So I was trying to get that to go a different way too. But like I said, I didn't want the arrow pointing off the page. So I also found a few stickers. I do believe some of the word stickers did come from different Echo Park Voight collections. And I will link every collection that I used or pulled from down below. But for now, that's all I'm going to say. I just need to go find my supplies again. I have no idea what I used at this point. I should probably be more prepared, but I'm getting there, right? So the last thing I am going to pull out is the enamel dots and these brads. Now, the brads, I wasn't sure if I was going to like them. So I am going to take my little snipper thingies and I'm going to take the back part off. I just wiggle the metal piece back and forth and it does come off. And then to glue it to the page, I use a foam dot. I use the same foam dots that I use all the time. It's the right thickness and it'll stick right back down to the page. That also helps because I know sometimes when you have to poke the hole, it doesn't always line up. Like the place that I wanted it to go was in one of those cogs. So to get that to line up right, you'd have to really poke the hole in the right spot or it would just be slightly off to the left or the right. So that's another way to really help if you want it to go in one exact spot and it doesn't want to. Um, then just take the little tying things off in the back and use a foam dot. I'm glad that I don't know if they are making, if it's just Simple Stories or if Echo Park is made self-adhesive brads at this point. I don't know. This collection is a couple years old. So whatever, but I really love the Simple Stories and whoever else is doing the self-adhesive brads. It just kind of saves a little bit of time. It wasn't that much work to take the tines off though. So I do add a brad in two of the cogs on the left and an enamel dot in two of the cogs on the left. On the bottom right cluster, I add just one brad and one enamel dot. And then on the right hand side, I do two brads and two enamel dots again. So I kind of have like my biggest cluster on the very left, the medium cluster up here with the oh boy, and then a very small cluster down there by the super kid. It did throw me off a little bit to have the journaling not near any of the clusters. I wanted to try to add a couple things to that, but there was really nowhere to put it that wouldn't be connected to the first cluster. I guess I could have put it between the journaling and the other photo on the other layout, but it just didn't look right. And this is where the sketch had it on where the clusters were on the sketch. So I went ahead and went with this, and I'm happy with the way it turned out. This is just basically my youngest son. The last time we ever really tried to teach him how to ride a bike, because he was so excited to get the bike helmet and to get the bike, but he just never wanted. We tried multiple times to teach him how to ride a bike, and just one of those kids that never wanted to really, he just wasn't interested. I think it's because you had to actually push to get up hills or whatever on a bike. But either way, this was the last time we took him out. And that's okay. He was fine with that. So that's the title, One Last Ride. And upcoming is the still shot photos, and that will show you when you look, you can probably see the metallic look on the cogs. So, like I said, check out those inks, and I hope you guys all have a great day. If you have any questions, please let me know. Otherwise, I will see you in the next video. Bye, everyone.